Welcome. Today we are going deep into one of the most mysterious and least studied cultures, the Himba people, whose way of life and traditions have been preserved for centuries in the heart of northern Namibia. But behind every ancient ritual lies a question. Will these people be able to maintain their unique identity on the brink of global change? Imagine, a few hundred years ago, their ancestors migrated from East Africa, preserving ancient artifacts and customs that continue to live in every gesture and word. At the same time, beyond their isolation, a struggle has ignited. Modern challenges and external pressures threaten to erase everything that makes them special. Behind every fire in their rituals and every cow in their herd lies not only culture, but also the fate of an entire people. We promise to reveal the truth. Who and why is trying to destroy their traditional way of life? And what is at stake if they succumb? Are you ready to see what lies behind the walls of their traditional world? Then, let's begin. Hidden in the remote corners of northern Namibia is one of Africa's oldest and most enigmatic cultures. The people whose history has intertwined through centuries like threads in the fabric of their traditional cloth. This is the Himba people, bearers of a unique spirituality, distant in their isolation, and at the same time, custodians of ancient knowledge and rites that, despite their modesty and simplicity, remain truly mysterious to the modern world. Their population is estimated to number only in the tens of thousands. Each of these souls is like a living monument to a fading era, a reminder that true heritage is not only statues and ruins, but also living human cultures that still remember their roots. The migration of the Himba from the mysterious origins of East Africa took place over centuries, carried by winds and fate across desert expanses and steppes, leaving traces of ancient paths behind. Archaeological finds, ancient artifacts, materials dating back several centuries, all evidence of a continuous link to epochs when this land was different, when tribes were just forming and merging into the first cultural bloodlines. These witnesses of time confirm that the Himba are not an accidental people, but the result of centuries of migration, adaptation, and survival amidst the harsh conditions of semi-deserts, savannas, and mountain ranges. The traditional way of life of the Himba is more than just activities for sustenance. It is their world, their rhythm, their spiritual code. Herding cattle is central to their existence, a vital and sacred practice that guides their balance with nature and their ancestors. Their herds, maintained with respect and love, are not just sources of meat and milk, but living embodiments of their connection to the land and spiritual heritage. The kinship system, based on lateral inheritance, is their internal rule. Every young man and woman knows their place and responsibility, passing down knowledge, traditions, and rites from generation to generation, shaping their collective identity. Within this vibrant cultural fabric, the cult of ancestors holds a special place. The sacred fire is not just a bright flame gathered around at night by the campfire. It is the living heart of their religion and rituals. The person who becomes a chief or elder takes on the responsibility of keeping this fire alive, passing it from one ritual to another, ensuring its perpetual flames as a symbol of their connection to their ancestors. When death touches them, the fire goes out, plunging the soul into mysterious darkness, which symbolizes the transition to the realm of spirits, where ancestors continue to guide their destinies. Despite their small numbers and geographical isolation, which should have preserved their traditions in purity, contact with the outside world, even infrequent, leaves its mark on them. Modern technologies, televisions, radios, even mobile phones. These fragments of progress occasionally intrude into their shy, hidden world, away from civilization. But every time the Himba confronts this new and unfamiliar, their response is resistance. using natural materials, attempts to maintain their authenticity through rituals, clothing characteristic of their culture. Ochre, fat, and wood ash garments are not just protective or decorative, but a true expression of their connection to the land and spiritual beliefs. It is precisely in this retreat into quiet isolation and economic simplicity that their unique ability to withstand external influences is hidden. They live in small settlements scattered across desolate plains, guarded by mountains and dunes. Their daily rhythm is dictated by nature: the sunrise, the scorching noon, the evening shadows, and everything beyond that seems foreign to them. Can they preserve their identity? Can they, while maintaining their ancient culture, resist the rising global pressure that seeks to erase borders, level differences, and dissolve them into a single flow of excessive tourism and commercialism? These questions embody not just the problem of a single people, but symbolize the ongoing struggle for the right to preserve uniqueness. Where do the Himba stand today? What threats loom over their cultural model, which for centuries was hidden in the shadows of civilization? Modern evidence includes not only technical progress, but also efforts to penetrate their environment. Commercialization, tourism interests, imposed standards, and standardized ideas of what traditional peoples should be and how they should live. All of this threatens to erase their unique identity, turning them into ethnographic museum exhibits or marketing symbols, rather than living people safeguarding their spirituality and traditions. Isn't it obvious that these peoples are monuments of the past, living testimonies of historical truth? And despite their modesty, they carry an important lesson for all humanity. True culture cannot exist forever without protection and respect. The only question is whether the Himba will be able to preserve their identity in an era of rapid change. And do they have a chance, a future, given that modern challenges are not only external forces, but also internal fears, doubts, and the blurring of boundaries between the past and the present? Because the stakes are not just the fate of a particular people. The true issue is the very idea of preserving deep human roots, the ability of a small, nearly forgotten tribe to survive and persist in a world where the influence of globalization is becoming increasingly powerful and pervasive. What threats and challenges will they face on their way to the future? And will they, as warriors of their culture, be able to withstand the onslaught of this fleeting era? The answer to this question is not only about them, but about all humanity, because the disappearance of the Himba culture is not only the extinction of a people, but also the loss of a part of history, a part of the soul of human civilization. Deep in Africa, in the very heart of the continent, lies a mysterious and undeniable space where the Himba tribe dwells, a people whose way of life and way of being have long become a living reflection of centuries-old traditions rooted in their consciousness and existence. This ancient tribe fills the surrounding nature with meaning and rhythms that are preserved and passed down from generation to generation, like sacred spells hidden in the fabrics of their customs and in every movement, every gesture. Their social structure is a complex web of kinship ties, tightly intertwined clans that both divide and unite. And here, each person is not just an individual, but part of a whole, a bearer of heritage, maintaining a balance between past and present. Thus, every member of the tribe belongs simultaneously to two clans, one through the paternal line and the other through the maternal. In this smaller world, where boundaries between relatives fade and duties and honor connect all generations, a society is formed where traditions are not just words or rituals, but the foundation of existence. Each clan holds its own secrets, stories, and customs, and all of these form a living fabric of tribal consciousness. The communal structure is not simply a distribution of power or a strict hierarchical order, but rather a delicate balance based on respect for ancestors, respect for elders whose wisdom is considered supreme. It is they who make the most important decisions: when to hold a festival, how to divide the harvest, what future to assign to the upcoming leader. In this society, every word is tested by time, and every action is governed by strict rules established over centuries. In such a life, the common good and family bonds, unity, sustain the entire clan through any external challenges. Reliability and spiritual connection are the highest values, reflected in ritual practices, ceremonies, and customs that are constantly renewed yet remain unchanged. When it comes to appearance and adornments, the tribe's outward look is revealed as the most important means of self-expression and social identification. For women, long skirts made of goat leather, whose simplicity and practicality conceal a special symbolism. These skirts, decorated with shells, copper ornaments, and feathers, serve not only as decorative elements, but also as symbols of social status and even personal achievements. The expression on their face mirrors their inner world, while their hairstyle is an important indicator of family position. Women adorn their hair by braiding it. The length and arrangement of the braids can reveal their age, marital status, or clan affiliation. The longer and more symmetrically braided the hair, the more respect the wearer commands. In this culture, hair is not just a part of the body, but a living expression of spirit and family. On their bodies, however, the connection between beauty and the rhythm of life is particularly evident. An essential part of their aesthetic expression includes body and soul care practices. Natural components, ochre, fats, ash, are transformed into masks, paints, and ointments that give their skin a special shine and brightness. Smoke baths or incensing with herbs are regarded as indispensable rituals for maintaining beauty. Inhaling the aroma of herbs and twigs during slow smoking cleanses not only the body but also the soul, filling it with spiritual purity and harmony with nature. These practices are not merely part of daily life, but sacred rituals, symbols of the person's connection with the environment and internal honesty. Thus, beauty is not an external display, but a reflection of how a person accepts and respects their natural gift. Regarding lifespan, it reflects complex social and biological factors. Women, it appears, tend to live about 10 years shorter than men. Why is this? What reasons lie behind this coincidental fact? In any society based on respect for traditional values and rituals, such features acquire special significance. The transfer of property and status in this culture is a ritual act, reinforced by family customs and traditional ceremonies. Here, inheritance is not merely material wealth, but a symbol of continuity, a guarantee of the clan's continuation, strength, and spiritual richness. Important rituals for passing on status are embedded in ceremonies passed down through generations, uniting the entire community within a shared way of life. A patriarchal structure underpins the entire social organization. Polygamy is prevalent. Men may have multiple wives, and marriages are discussed and decided by elders who embody wisdom and experience, serving as links to ancestors. An important part of the rites is the test for boys, teeth knocking, which symbolizes their transition into adulthood, preparing them for responsibility and the acquisition of status. These traditions are justified not only by practical reasons, but also spiritual ones. They strengthen clan bonds and build willpower and character. Building family ties is one of the central tasks of this people. Through openness, mutual help, and respect, they strengthen their relationships. In contrast to external noise, technology, and rapid changes happening around them, their doors always remain open to loved ones and neighbors, to those seeking truth within their traditions. Family is not just a social unit, but the foundation of their world, rooted in trust and mutual support, in the understanding that their strength lies in unity, and the continuation of ancient rituals. But this raises a question. Is it possible to adapt these ancient, resilient customs to the realities of the modern world? Can the meaning and value of traditions be preserved when the noise of rapid change already sounds behind their doors? Is there a chance for the society in an era of globalization and technological progress? Current conflicts are not only ideas of a struggle for survival, but also an internal conflict between preserving heritage and the necessity to evolve. Who becomes the judge of this balance? Who will decide whether to leave everything as it is or to embrace new dimensions, risking part of their unique identity? Embedded in these questions is the depth of their struggle, because their traditions are not just words or rituals, but an integral part of their soul. And so, when traditional rituals face the outside world, do they protest or find new forms? Who assumes the role of guardian of their future? These questions now stand before the tribe as if it were a decree of destiny, and the answer may determine not only their fate, but also that of the entire legacy they hold in their hands. When elders gather under the shade of ancient trees in the old clan to align the destinies of the young, it is as if nature itself reveals its secrets in this sacred act. In this society, there is no simple word, marriage. There is a rite, an agreement, a ritual, viewed as a sacred forge where the future of the entire tribe is shaped. Here, in this world, spouses are not chosen impulsively or on whim. Choices are made slowly, carefully, with all the customs and cultural codes in mind. Elders, with their wisdom accumulated over centuries, begin conversations about compatibility, casting the magic of consensus, considering not only external qualities, but also inner strength of spirit, traditional values, and religious rites. Their voices are not just advice or recommendations. They are the voice of honor and history, testimony to centuries-old wisdom embedded in every movement, in every word. Time passes, and girls are granted a unique opportunity to taste freedom, to feel themselves not dominated by others' expectations, but as full participants in their own future. They are allowed to spend time with different men. Each is not just a potential groom, but a bearer of specific values, views, and strengths. This is not mere entertainment or mindless testing. It is an attempt to understand who among them could become a true partner. Such an approach gives girls a chance to make a conscious choice, to get to know men not only by appearance, but also through character, habits, and inner convictions. There is a certain harmony in this. After all, marriage and wedding rituals are not only about traditions, but also about life, relationships, and trust. The most significant moment is considered the initiation ritual, during which the eldest woman, possessing not only knowledge but also inner strength, applies a mixture to the young girl, prepared according to ancient recipes. This mysterious composition is not just a blend of herbs and oils, but carries sacred meanings. It symbolizes the connection with ancestors, strengthens the spiritual core of the future bride, warns of possible dangers, protects, and guides her to understand her role in society. After this ritual, the girl's consciousness becomes rooted not only in her own value, but also in her responsibility before the entire community and the centuries-old traditions. At that moment, a new chapter opens for her. Not a personal choice, but the continuation of the chain of life and culture passed down from generation to generation. The rite for boys seems even more symbolic. At 12 years old, when everything feels young and uncertain, their teeth are knocked out. But this is not just a painful procedure. It is a ritual proclaiming adulthood, a moment when the young man connects himself with his ancestors, linking his destiny to the eternal ancestral chain. The loss of lower teeth, as a symbol of security, authority, and strength, serves as a document of entry into adult life. This act is not only a symbol of overcoming fear, but also affirmation of the status quo, a deep meditation on connection with the past, on continuing the lineage with all its duties and virtues. In this society, there seems to be no room for weakness, only faith in the power of traditions, which surrounds every young person with care, while simultaneously placing the burden of responsibility. The main thing in these customs is not individual faith or personal choice, but commitment to the bonds that unite an entire system: families, clans, tribes. Restoring peace, strengthening connections, is not about love in our understanding, but about harmony and stability. It is a kind of social glue that makes society strong and impervious to upheavals and divisions. In this world, openness in expressing feelings is considered normal, because trust and sincere expression of emotions create additional bridges between people. Not hiding one's feelings, not concealing joys or pains. All of this is done for unity and support. When a conflict arises, disputes are not settled with shouts and accusations. Instead, people turn to elders without fear of judgment or condemnation. In their wise guidance, personal responsibility becomes part of the ritual of correcting mistakes rather than a reason for ruptures. Even grief or quarrels in this society flow into unspoken words, because voicing them is safe and sensible. A quiet conversation, sprinkled with respect and attention, helps to eliminate cracks, strengthen bonds, and maintain balance. This approach is not just a feature of interpersonal relationships, but a fundamental philosophy of life based on trust, understanding, and continuity. How can these traditional marriage rituals and views on fidelity harmoniously coexist with modern values? The questions seem to linger in the shadows, like a warning. What if these ancient practices contradict personal freedom, human rights, and individual choice? To what extent is it acceptable today to remain faithful to science and progress without destroying the resilient fabric of cultural foundations? These questions trouble many who face the need to reevaluate their values, preserve their identity, and at the same time, seek a place in society where new perspectives on personality and freedom are not always understood. Transitioning to the new is not an instant event, but a long and difficult journey where values, ideas, and traditions collide. Societal evolution entails a transformation of consciousness, a reevaluation of fundamental principles, sometimes painfully. The ideals of freedom and independence can challenge the doctrines in which these peoples have been rooted for centuries. And then a new front opens, the challenge to preserve their uniqueness without losing connection to their roots, without dissolving into the flow of modern trends. Will society change if people begin to see marriage, personal fidelity, and family ties differently? Perhaps it will become more flexible and free. Or maybe it will lose its inner strength, drowning in the discord of modernity. The question remains open, and only time will show which path these generations will choose. But one thing is clear: maintaining and developing traditions is not just a matter of customs. It is about the continuation of life, about preserving the cultural code that defines their identity. Regardless of time, wars, or revolutions, these foundations continue to live inside each person, seemingly nourishing the skin and spirit of their society. And within this ongoing dialogue between past and future lies its power, a force that eternally connects generations despite the storms of change. In the heart of silent emptiness, where rocks pierced the sky and silence seemed absolute, lay the land that had served for centuries as the homeland for a people living by special rules, according to ancient traditions. Here, in profound silence, unbroken even by the cries of the free wind or the calls of the herd, were perceived the images of a way of life that followed its own austere but sincere path. They are those who inherit the customs of ancestors, who have lived for centuries without participating in the rush of civilization, who embody a unique and authentic cultural layer among many peoples. Their home is a cone-shaped hut, built from young trees carved in strict accordance with techniques passed down through generations. These dwellings are simple, unpretentious, devoid of furniture, placed directly on the ground, reflecting their deep connection to nature. Inside, the space itself is a single room where the entire village sleeps, where fates intertwine, where life is born. Mud, manure, weathered straw, all these materials create comfort in their earthly nests, providing protection from harsh climatic conditions. Immersed in their way of life, the people live and breathe through their cows, sacred animals that are not just a source of sustenance or income, but also a symbol of well-being and family. Their lifestyle revolves around the herd, around caring for the cows, since it is they who determine who and when will have happiness, whose future will be linked to this vital wealth. For the cows, that is not only sustenance, but also an opportunity to marry, to bind one's fate with the land and the people. In other words, to become part of their community. In this world, where girls from the age of 8 are sent into early marriage during adolescence, cows are their greatest wealth and their path to the future. 4 cows provide not only the prospect of marriage, but also a chance to regain respect in society and to earn status. The appearance of the inhabitants is minimal, often reflecting their inner frugality and character. They avoid unnecessary fuss, preferring a simple, practical look. They frequently use makeshift materials, plastic bottles and bags, not only for storing water or food, but also as decorations, highlighting their creative approach to limited resources. These items serve as both adornments and protective talismans, imbued with meaning and memories of ancient traditions. They move easily from place to place, following pastures and their animals. Mobility is an integral part of their way of life. This is a people never tied to a single location. Their life moves in a circle, repeating ancient rituals connected to nature, the earth, and herds. Their daily life involves constant movement, continuous adaptation to climate changes, water availability, and natural resources. Their everyday life is entirely natural and often harsh. They use natural remedies for personal and animal care, which does not exclude hardships. During periods of water shortage, or when fresh water becomes inaccessible, they resort to smoky procedures, smoke therapy, that helps cleanse the skin, strengthen health, and refresh the mind. These methods are part of their cultural code, symbols of their resilience and resourcefulness, utilizing everything at hand. Women are the keepers of comfort, despite the tough conditions. They create environments where warmth and care find a place. From makeshift materials such as branches, hides, and cloth, they craft miniature oases of comfort, beds, mats, and decorations. In every home, one can feel the labor, patience, and love, their main values, despite the harsh realities of life. Their way of life is an ongoing struggle for survival and a dependence on livestock. They are an isolated people whose way of life is barely affected by external influences. Self-sufficiency is their second nature. They do not seek modernization or changes imposed from outside, because deep within, they understand that it is these very traditions that make them unique and immovable in this shifting world. Their isolation is not merely a forced measure, but a conscious choice, affirming their ability to live in harmony with nature, even if that harmony is often harsh and relentless. Against this background, a question arose that became an integral part of deciphering their fate. What will happen to them if external forces or modernization penetrate their resilient and closed world? What inevitable changes will take place in their lives? What will disappear forever and what will remain? Is it possible to preserve their uniqueness without destroying their connection to the land and traditions? What consequences await those who dare to take on this challenge? Those who see their way of life as a challenge or an opportunity? The danger lies in the fact that external intervention, even if well-intentioned and necessary at its core, can break the fragile balance and destroy centuries-old ways of life. Perhaps this people will be able to adapt while preserving their culture and identity. Or perhaps they will disappear entirely, dissolving among many other peoples, losing their distinctive traits, their voice, their memory. These questions are not mere abstract reflections. They represent a danger, a challenge facing them today. And contemplating the future, this chapter's conclusion brings an awareness of one important thought. Will they be able to transform, or will their traditions vanish in the whirl of external changes? Will they be capable, while maintaining their essence, of integrating into the new world? Or will their uniqueness be erased forever? Or perhaps their fate remains an open door, behind which may lie either disappearance or an opportunity for a wave of new life, teetering on the brink of choice? In this rich context, their voice trembles dramatically, reflecting anxiety and resilience, because the story continues and the future is still unwritten. Deep in the heart of Africa, amidst the boundless jungles and hidden within the dense canopies of trees, dwell those few whom few know about. They are called the Himba, a people whose way of life seems like an era long past, an archetype of primal harmony with nature. In every movement of theirs lie centuries-old traditions. In every word, the living memory of ancestors passed from generation to generation. Their culture is alive with rituals, a unique linguistic system, and images that embody the very meaning of existence. It is precisely this uniqueness that makes the Himba people not just one among many tribes, but a living testament to a continuing story, one that persists despite everything. But what happens when the arc of their world collides with the waves of modernization? What is the cultural, spiritual, and even physical departure from the pure roots that young Himba so proudly rely on? The numerous calls for change and the signals of a new era, along with the introduction of modern technologies, all this is transforming their way of life, touching the fundamental elements of their culture. The relentless advance of external influences paints a delicate yet disturbing picture. Can these strong, deeply rooted traditions withstand the onslaught of civilization? Or perhaps it is precisely the influence of modernity that marks a milestone on the path toward the loss of identity, the disappearance of unique languages and rituals that hold secrets of the past and passion of the present? These questions require not only a historical reflection, but also a deep analysis of current processes, as every day for the Himba tribe is a struggle to preserve their identity. Internal processes within the tribe are like a quiet yet persistent flow, raising the younger generation, instilling respect, and the importance of maintaining traditions. Elders, keepers of knowledge, conduct rituals that help the youth understand their role within the larger order of things. This education is not only about applying ancient crafts or knowing about nature, but also about shaping the inner world, understanding that their culture is unique, valuable, and must be protected. The walls are built from natural materials, clothing is handmade, and their language, a ringing voice passed down from generation to generation, all form the foundation of their existence. But how resilient are these bonds in an era of rapid technological progress, when new devices, assessments, and standards begin to penetrate even the most secluded corners of the tribe? Could external interventions become the very cause that the Himba language spoken by the tribe might disappear? Once again, they are born of excessive concern of scientists, international organizations, and charitable foundations, placing hope on aid without considering the consequences. Some argue that intervention can save them from poverty and disease, that providing knowledge to improve living conditions is a reasonable solution justified by caring for the future. But is it worth taking this risk? Facts and research show any external influence, especially when it does not understand or share the values of the people, can destroy their internal harmony. The language disappears, rituals become mere memories, and the connection with nature blurs. Irrefutable evidence indicates that without a careful balance between aid and intervention, there is a danger that the unique culture of the Himba will become merely a story, forgotten beyond the borders of their ancient customs. On this side of the issue, there are two main arguments. The first insists the culture of the Himba is not just a set of rituals or a language. It is a living expression of human history, important for the overall diversity of civilization. The uniqueness of this tribe is part of global heritage that must be cherished and respected with reverence. They are a living illustration of how humans can coexist harmoniously with nature while maintaining their identity. They possess valuable knowledge that can enrich our understanding of the world and serve as a bridge in intercultural dialogue. However, others argue that the difficulties these people face, poverty, malnutrition, lack of medical care, require rapid solutions. If intervention can help them acquire basic modern knowledge, provide opportunities for children to learn, then why not embrace progress? Perhaps they will be able to integrate their traditions into a new life without losing their uniqueness, but strengthening it through new opportunities. So, the main question before us is, should we fully support the preservation of the Kimba culture in its current form, with its traditions, language, and rituals, or on the contrary, merge them into a shared flow of modernity in order to improve quality of life and ensure the future? This dilemma is not merely a question of politics or religion. It is an ethical, philosophical challenge for all humanity. What is more important, supporting uniqueness or progress? Is it those who want to preserve what they have, or those who believe that change is necessary for survival? And finally, what path should such isolated peoples follow? Continue fighting to maintain their uniqueness at the risk of losing their identity, or adapt, making their cry for help part of their new roads so as not to destroy themselves? The question, arguably the most complex, is about the future. It is no longer so clear. Every decision is a choice between two worlds. A world where value lies in uniqueness and individuality, and a world where survival takes precedence over heritage. Time inexorably flows, and the history of each people is a race in which not only traditions and technology clash. It is a confrontation of values, and it will determine the fate that the Kimba tribe chooses for itself. What path should people take? Strangers to them. Should they continue looking back into the past, holding onto their roots for those who follow, or learn to accept change in order to preserve their lives and their voice in an increasingly rapidly changing world? This is the central question that hovers over every attempt to preserve their uniqueness. And perhaps the answer lies not in approval or disapproval, but in deep, honest reflections on what the future should be for those who hold within themselves the most ancient codes of humanity.